Hey, this is Ewan Blakey, and with Christy, my wife, we're the pastors of Oasis Church, and this is our podcast. I wanted to thank you for joining us today. I hope this inspires you. I hope it builds your faith. I hope it gives you perspective to see God is moving in your life. Enjoy the message.
Hello, morning, Oasis Jandakot. I better get it right. It's been a while since I've been here. For those that don't know you, my name's Pastor Kate. I'm the Next Gen pastor, and I oversee both Jandakot and Baldivis for youth and anything really that's 0 to 18. My hand's probably involved in it. It's been my pleasure to be here for the whole time we've existed. This is really exciting for me. I got to do it already once last week, so I get a triple dose this week. So it's so good. And you know what? My heart when we did Next Gen Takeover is not about kids performing on a stage or youth performing over stage. And I just want to clarify, when we say Next Gen, we mean 0 to 18. We're not just referring to kids. We're not just referring to youth. We're referring to the whole span of the ages. And so it's so good to be together as a Next Gen Takeover. And we love seeing the generations worshiping together. It's actually not just about the kids taking over. It's about generation after generation being together and worshiping God together, growing together, and allowing God's heartbeat to touch us together. And so something that we've been working towards over the last 10 years is actually getting to the point where really someone from our Next Gen team is taking over every sphere. And this year I'm really excited to say we had Zeke at Baldivis last week, but this week we have the amazing Asher from Oasis Jandakot Youth, and he's going to be preaching this morning on Daniel. So I just want you guys to just rev him up and lean in because he's been doing some great study. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Asher, if you haven't heard already, but we're talking about Daniel 6 today, so flip to that if you have a Bible with you. Daniel is a series we've been focusing on for the past month, and if you haven't already, you should go back and watch the series. Daniel 6 is called Daniel in the Lion's Den, and that's what we'll be focusing on. My title, if you have notes, is Staying Strong in a God That Stays Strong in You. In Daniel 6, we can see that King Darius has 3 high officials, one of which is Daniel. It says in the Bible that Daniel was distinguished above all other officials and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him. The king also planned to set Daniel over the whole kingdom after his reign. Then the high officials and satraps looked to find ground for complaint against Daniel, but could find no ground for complaint because he was faithful. They were jelly. They then agreed that the only way they could get Daniel in trouble was if they found it in connection with the law of his God. So the men went and made a law with King Darius that whoever makes petition to a god or man for 30 days except King Darius shall be cast into a den of lions. The king then signed the document and injunction. When Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house and thanked the Lord 3 times a day as he had done previously. That's Daniel 6:10 if you have a Bible with you. See, Daniel wasn't going to let a law, let alone a den of lions, change his faith. He instead saw it as an opportunity to make his faith in God stronger. Daniel was risking his whole life by praying to God, and yet some people can't risk 3 minutes away from a phone. Hebrews 6:10 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him, as you have helped his people and continue to help them. I also want to ask you a question. Where is your spot that you go to thank the Lord and pray to him? For Daniel, that was his upper chamber, where he had his windows open to Jerusalem, which would have been important and symbolic to him. For me, it's my bedroom. I can lay on my bed while reading the Bible. For some people, it may be in nature, a park, or even just simply at a desk. If you don't have a space to pray, I strongly encourage and urge you to find one. It is an easy step to improving your relationship with God. Back to Daniel. After this, the high officials went to the king and said that Daniel was in fault because he was not abiding by the rules and was making a petition to a god for 30 days. The high officials had tricked the king into getting Daniel into trouble. And in this situation, a den of lions. The king was much distressed and worried for Daniel. The next day, the king commanded that Daniel was brought and cast into the den of lions. He said, "And may your God, whom you serve continually, deliver you." The king then went to his palace and spent the night fasting, where he couldn't sleep. Then, at the break of day, the king arose and rushed over to the den of lions where Daniel was thrown in. Daniel 6:20 says, "The king spoke to Daniel and said, 'O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the den of lions?' Daniel replied, 'My God sent an angel and shut the lions' mouths. And they have not harmed me, because I was found blameless before him. And also before you, O king, I have done no harm.' The king was then super glad that Daniel had survived and ordered that Daniel be taken up out of the den immediately." Daniel 6:23 says, "No kind of harm was found on him because he had trusted in his God." We have this whole miracle right in front of us, just there in the Bible. So why don't we take advantage from that and learn from it? When life throws something right at us, we shouldn't let it change us. We should instead see it as an opportunity to make our relationship with God stronger. This is what Daniel did, and he was able to survive a whole den of lions. So as I finish reading, I just want to say two things. What is your den of lions, and when will you be willing to invite God into it? Some examples may be school, work, money, cost of living, home, anywhere you feel pressured. Part of Matthew 17:20 says, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you." And lastly, how can you stay strong in the God that stays strong in you?
How good was that? Thanks, Asha. That was awesome. We loved hearing your heart, and I just pray that you were blessed as much as we were blessed by your word. So I just want to carry on because I just want to cast a bit more vision about what is our heart for next gen? What is it actually? Why do we do what we do? And why do we say we're a generational church? And so today I just want to start off with, I need 4 kids. So your job is to put this together on here. Oh, I need another one. Safety risk. I really did do one before I thought about doing that. Okay, so if you guys can put it together up there while I'm talking, because I've got a question for you guys, kids. Today isn't just about fun, having a service of youth and kids up front, as I said before. It's actually a prophetic glimpse of a united church. Every generation together. And worshipping, serving, growing, encountering God together. So I've got a question. Is the church just kids? Is it just kids? No. Is the church just adults? No. My gosh, are you all asleep out there? No, it's not. The church is youth, kids, adults, all of us together. And just like this puzzle, if we're not all united and all together, then we're never going to see the full expression of what God has. And it actually says in Malachi that he will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children to the father. And it's actually pointing towards his return. That's the state of the church, when we realize the place of every generation. But also, it says in Psalm 145, verse 5, one generation will commend your works to another. That's our job. Every generation is to declare and speak and show the faithfulness of God to the next and the next and the next, so that they encounter and hear and are alive. That's what Daniel experienced. That's why he was alive, because he experienced generations working together, communities speaking into his life. And so kids, I need your help in a minute. So are you listening? All right, because I do have some prizes. He's had a pre-check. So, as Asha was just talking about Daniel. Now, Daniel, at the time, not at that point, he was probably about 80 years old, but at this point, when I'm talking in the story, when he was taken away, when he was about 15 or 16, could you imagine 15 or 16? And all of a sudden, another country took over and took you away from your mum and dad, away from your family, away from your friends. And basically, it was a place called Babylon, and they didn't praise the same God. And they said, Daniel, you're not praising that God anymore. They took his name away. They took how he spoke away. They took the God that he praised away. They even changed his name. Could you imagine that? But do you know what? It says that in Daniel 1:8, Daniel resolved not to defile himself. Resolved. Does anyone know what that word means? No. Yes, well, you're thinking about how you're going to fix the problem to resolve something. Yeah, here you go. To fix the problem. So he didn't want to compromise. He was like, you know what? You want me to praise another God, but actually I'm not going to compromise. You want to change my name, but actually I'm going to remember who I am on the inside and who God said I was. I'm going to remember who you are and who you say I am, and I'm not going to compromise, and I will stay faithful to the God that my parents and my parents and my parents' parents and my community told me who you were and who I experienced. And do you know what, kids? I need your help. So I need you to show me your most bravest prayer pose. Just like Asher was talking about prayer just before. Can you show me your bravest? Imagine you're going to war, but not with a sword, like a metal sword. You're going to war and praying like Daniel did. So you might want to go, or you might want to go like that. Oh, come on. I got prizes. Oh, do you know what? Okay, so now can you say, God, use me. Right now. Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah, I'll leave that to Tanya. You decide. So you know what? That needs to be not just their cry. Actually, it needs to be all of our cry. Because like I said before, it's generation after generation after generation after generation declaring who God is and walking in who He is and doing it together. So that needs to be all of our cry. In prayer, in families, as singles, get together, connect groups, get together, praying, all have value individually and corporately. But do you know what? Daniel didn't stand alone. Just like I said, he stood with friends and he had a foundation, his family, and a praying community before he was taken out. And so parents, I want to remind you, you're not doing this alone. You have a community around you that want to support you, give you discipleship tools. And you know what? I'm a parent too, and I don't have all the answers. But we do it together. And we speak the faithfulness of God together. We declare and we command who He is. And it brings life to faith. It brings God into reality, into action. For example, when we pray for finances as a family and we see Him work faithfully, it's a testimony of declaring who God is in His faithfulness and provision. In healing, when there's sickness, laying a hand on a 1, 2, 3-year-old and doing it and praying and declaring, it produces testimony of who God is. And when He doesn't answer, it also produces testimony of being faithful and consistent in the place of going, my God is faithful and He will do what He says He will do. Because just like Daniel, we need to stand in circumstances that we don't always see the fullness of the picture. But I want to say, here's the beautiful part. Daniel's strength didn't come from what he said no to. It came from what he said yes to, what we need to say yes to. He sought God daily, faithfully, and even secretly when no one was watching. That's where his strength came from. And that's our call too. That's been our cry this year from the beginning of the year, from Vision Sunday, that we would be a people, a generation who seek Him, who seek His face. That's what He's calling us to. That's what He called Daniel to. That's what He calls every generation to. And so I just want to encourage you right now, kids. Tanya's watching. She's going to tell me who gets the prize, okay? So, but adults as well. I want you to close your eyes, open your heart, and just whisper. God, I want to know You. You know, that might just seem simple and tokenish, but a generation that seek His face will turn to Him in the quiet, still moment, not just in the rowdiness. They'll turn to Him in the craziness. They'll turn to Him in the joy. They'll turn to him in every circumstance, no matter what it may be, and seek his face. My heart is that it's not just about routines or rules, but I want a generation, all generations, to have a real relationship with Jesus. A generation that seeks his face more than fame or approval. And that's what we want at Next Gen. That's our heart. We don't do just childcare. We do kingdom ministry. What we do with adults, we do with the Next Gen. It's the same heart. We don't want to treat Next Gen like a background noise. It's just as central to our mission. They're cogs that work together, and when one cog's not working well, it impacts the other. And we believe that kids and youth can be saved, be baptized, be filled with the Spirit, hear God's voice, use their spiritual gifts, and lead others to Jesus. We can all do that. And as adults, you guys are partnering with that. You guys all have a role, whether you're a parent or not, whether you're young or old, you all have a role. Grandparents, you have a legacy. Share it. Speak into it. Young adults, don't step back. Take up your place of leadership. Step up and lead the next generation. Declare what he's done in your life. And Oasis Next Gen team, I just want to take one moment. If there's any of you in here, I think there's a few here this morning, do you want to just stand up? Whether you're youth, if you serve in a Friday night youth, whether you serve in teens, whether you serve on a Sunday, if you just want to stand up right now. Let's give these guys a clap. We just want to celebrate and honor these guys. Week after week, they pour into our youth and kids. And so, thank you. And we've also actually got a gift for you. So if you make sure you come and see Tanya after the service. Oh, I think because they're good listening. So, we thank you for what you do. Our Next Gen leaders, Tanya and Jeremy, they lead it here, and we want to honor them as well. And they champion the teens and the youth and the kids every week. But also today, just to let you know, I also want to take the opportunity to mention that we also now have just brought on staff Emmanuel. So he is Jeremy's 2IC. So as they grow, he's got more support there. So that's a really exciting thing. So just if you see him, just encourage him. But church, we have an amazing team. But you know what? It's all of us together. It's actually all of us together. We are raising revivalists. Over 20 years ago, before I was even in kids ministry, and I never attended children's church because I refused. I hated church. I had a vision. I had just come back to Jesus, and I had a vision. And I saw this massive hall. And at the front of the hall, I was up declaring Jesus. Just calling young people back to Jesus. And there was a youth worship band behind, and they were just prophetically declaring scripture. And then as I was declaring, and as this band was just declaring scripture, kids and youth started coming in from one side of the revolving door, and as they came in, the room just filled with light. These kids came to life. I saw them encounter Jesus. And the room became so crowded. And then they started going out the other side. But as they started going out the other side, light started filling the streets. And these kids and youth were going up into businesses, into schools, into community places. And it changed the atmosphere. It changed the whole dynamics of what was going on. And God's presence filled that place. God was there. And God was in them. And I knew from that moment that I wanted to partner with God to raise the next generation. And do you know what? It's now over 20 years later, and I can say that God is sparking even more fresh fire for this generation. And when I say this generation, I'm saying the whole family. The whole family. It's not just an individual alone. I believe truly that we're going to see kids that lay hands on the sick and people are instantly healed. Bones are restored. Where youth boldly preach the gospel and baptize their friends in their lunch breaks, during class, at their sports clubs. I truly believe it is coming. Prayer meetings break out in schools, whether they're Christian or not. The supernatural is expected, not just a surprise or, hey, thanks for that one thing. And I'm not depleting what God is doing, but I'm saying we need to raise the expectation, because our God is a powerful and mighty God, and He loves us more than we can comprehend. And I believe that we're going to see these ones raise the dead, that it just seems normal to them. But this is the thing that moves my heart the most. That we would see whole services where who cares if the time's gone over because the kids are out in kids' church? No, because the kids and the parents and the whole community are in this building and they're encountering the presence of God together. That it's not about, oh my goodness, my child's making too much noise. No, they've fallen to the feet and they've encountered the living and faithful and loving God of every generation. Can you imagine? Can you imagine walking into a room where the presence of God is so thick that every generation is encountering Him? That's God's heart. It doesn't necessarily look the same as how you encounter God. It can be messy, but that's okay. God loves us and He loves them. So I want to encourage you this morning. Will you partner with me to raise revivalists? But more than that, let's not just raise revivalists, let's be revivalists with them. We need to be it with them. They need to see it, live it, taste it, feel it. And that takes a commitment from us. And so kids, this morning, do you think you could say yes in a minute? Are you ready? I want to hear it this time. All right, kids, do you think you can seek God's face? Yes, I think you can too. Youth, do you think you can stand for God's truth rather than what the world says is truth? Good job. Parents, are you going to plant the seeds? Even when it looks like sometimes those seeds have fallen on the rocks. Even when it looks like it's really hard work, are you going to keep planting the seeds? Grandparents, are you going to come in around the side and bring in your wisdom? Bring in the heart. Bring in the fun, because you don't have to do all the bits around the outside like the parents do. And leaders, particularly next-gen leaders, are you going to disciple with expectation? Please hear me, expectation. When you step into the classroom, when you step into those services, because they're services, they're not just rooms and programs, they're services for kids and teens and youth. We need to walk in like I come up on this stage to preach this morning, and I'm going with expectation that God's going before me and He's speaking to you, and it doesn't matter what I say, but He's going to touch you in that place. So as leaders, we need to go in with expectation that God's going to move. He's going to encounter, and we can minister to these ones. Because God encounters every generation.